What's good, Wagering World? It's your boy Five Star in Vegas, broadcasting live as always from beautiful Summerlin, Nevada. And here with my co-host, my guy, the only Sacramento Kings fan that I know. What's good, Spread Astaire?
Man, usually I'm pretty good about taking these losses in stride, but I'm pretty tilted about the Bucks. So, what did you see? Let's just get straight into yesterday's news because I'm not looking forward to all the shows, all the chats, all the content I got to do today after taking that L last night. What did you see in that game last night?
It's a lot of factors that I don't understand why any of you guys really like the Bucks. Besides them being at home, the last game showed me that the Celtics pretty much uh, had a grasp of what the Bucks want to do, and that it's just out now all about making shots. It was perfect the way Coach Udoka paced the team yesterday. Um, Even though Jaylen Brown got some horrible calls, and I was so hot about that one, man. I had him over 24 and a half. Me and my class had a big bet on that one. And he was just starting to cook in the third quarter, and he got that horrible call on him when they gave him the charge against Drew Holiday. So besides that, everything else went pretty much fair, and is the way that I expected with that game. And that's that the Celtics were not going to lose two games in a row. They haven't this whole year, 2022, as long as they had their starting lineup in. That the coaching staff will make adjustments and out coach Budenheiser, and that they have enough urgency to understand that they couldn't lose this game or they would fall to 3-1, and the odds would be really against them. Now they've swung the series back in their favor, and they have home court advantage the rest of the way. Only thing they have to do is go back to the Garden and protect home court. So it went exactly how I expected it to go.
Yeah, well, I got to give you credit because I completely overestimated Drew Holiday, and I'm so done with that guy. And I've been saying the guy's been underrated. He's a top point guard, this and that, and he just completely no showed in the biggest game of the year, and basically just gave the series to the Celtics. It was just so disappointing for a guy that I've been championing, and a lot of people, they ended up being right, because I'm saying no, this guy's good. He's better than you guys give him credit for. And he completely no showed. And not only that, it's one thing to have a bad game, but the IQ just wasn't there. When he didn't have it, he didn't look to get his teammates involved. He just kept jacking up terrible shots. So
Terrible shot.
I know the Celtics played well, but I mean, if Drew Holiday was even half the point guard that I expected, Giannis's brilliance would have led them to the finish line. So really disappointing there. So obviously, I take my L there. Fortunately, I got a W though, because I told
Yeah,
everyone the Grizzlies are going to keep this close, right? Because
yeah.
everyone's so blinded by, and I understand with the proliferation of DFS, and I had my DFS lineups yesterday, and I love making my DFS lineups, but I think that sometimes people overvalue these high usage players, and they
Yeah.
act like this usage just won't exist when they're not in the lineup. Now, did the Grizzlies have a chance to win? No, I didn't take the money line. So I do understand. Like, I'm not saying this team is just as good without John Morant, but the idea that he's worth that many points that those books gave yesterday, I felt came to fruition, right? Neither team really shot that well. I almost think the Warriors, same thing, or another reason we like these superstar subtraction angles. These players or these teams overlook the other team when the other guy's not in there. It felt like the Warriors felt like they were just gifted the win, and they almost lost the game off of that arrogance, right? And just looking past their opponent. So it was nice to get the Grizzlies cover back. They didn't get the win. I still think that series is over because, like I said, I don't think even with John Morant, they're going to win that game 6 and chase, even if they win game 5. But at the same time, I won't take a victory lap over you because you said that the Grizzlies would get one in chase, but of course you're assuming that John Morant was in there, and it would have been a different game if
But
he
who did
didn't
I
play.
take yesterday?
No, you're on the Grizzlies with me, but I'm just
Yeah.
saying. Remember, I told you I said Grizzlies aren't winning one in chase, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying I
Well,
won't victory lap
now it's
that.
kind of it doesn't count the same,
Yeah, it
man. You
doesn't
got the
count
star
because John
players
Morant's not in
on,
there.
you
But
know.
if he
That
would have
series
played,
is
I would have
over.
victory lapped that.
They're
Yeah,
gonna lose the next game. They're gonna lose to Memphis. It'll be over. They're gonna just stay home. You know,
yeah.
I expect them to just stay home. I expect them to come out strong next game, win the first half, kind of like they did in Golden State, and then Golden State to just close. Because what Golden State has learned is that they can just have a good fourth quarter on this team and win the game. As long as they keep it within 10 points, the fourth quarter is theirs. They executed too high of a level for Memphis to keep up with. And it's just now with them, getting rid of Morant, it's amazing how many injuries have affected the Warriors' runs. Most of the time for the good, like their first run when they ended up never playing a starting point guard the whole journey. And then it kind of came back and bit them when they lost to the Raptors, because I'm sure that series wouldn't have went that way if you had a healthy KD, healthy Steph, healthy Clay. So
Mm-hmm.
um, the Warriors got some good luck with Ja Morant going out, because as you saw last night, that team is hungry. Uh, we do agree that they play well without Morant. He is high usage, but Morant is the heart of that team. He's the one that pushed them over the hump. So in that game yesterday, they would have, instead of having what did they have, like a three to 5 point lead? I forgot what the lead, because I just had the plus 5.5. So after I saw it was pretty much locked, I kind of was just going in and out on it, doing some work. But they had a pretty comfortable lead the first half. That lead would have been 15 if John Morant would have been there. The way that the Warriors came out, lackadaisical, too arrogant, showing a lot of the reasons why a lot of people around the country, don't really like the Warriors. The Warriors have uh, they're for a certain taste. I have a lot of respect, as I said, for Steph Curry, because I've watched him at Davidson. I cheered for him so much at Davidson because he was the underdog. Cheered for him when he got to the NBA, when he was under Mark Jackson, when they were still building the situation over there. But then they got on top, and I respect his craft, but I don't care for some of his antics now. And it all started when he took the dump in Cleveland and tried to lie and say that he didn't do that. Remember that?
And which one?
In the championship series, he went and took a dump on Cleveland sign. He pulled down his pants like he was taking a dump.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, go Google the YouTube, man. Steph Curry did an imaginary dump on Cleveland. Then when they asked him, he would even man up and just be like, "Yeah, I did it." Like it was fun and games. But he was like, "No, man, I would never do that." Like everybody saw it. So that's the type of stuff he does. He's almost kind of like in that Russell Wilson mode where he tries to play perfect, but he's really kind of like an asshole. So Steph gets a lot of hate around, and they're only adding to it with them injuring Morant like that. And now you have a third Splash brother who's even more wicked than the other two. With Jordan Poole, he's out there with the evil eye on everybody, and brings a lot of attitude. So they're gonna get through this series. I'm interested to see how they fare in the next round against we'll see, between the Suns or the Mavericks. You at first you thought the Suns were a shoe in or a right in, but now not so much. Before we talk about that Suns and Dallas game tonight, let's bring in our guy, man. We got the Vegas homie in. Here he is,
What's
my guy,
happening, gentlemen?
What's up?
the guy who said that if he had a vote for Embiid, he would have spent it on Jokic. My guy, the boy from Philadelphia, man, the mayor. What's up? What's up, Alex?
It was a great MVP race. It was one of those years I don't think you could make a wrong choice. If you picked Embiid, you picked Jokic. I mean, those two guys were arguably the two best players in the league all by themselves. When you compare their value to the team, you take Embiid off that Sixers team, especially before they had Harden, it becomes pretty average. You take Jokic off that Denver team, it's probably, not even a playoff team. So
They've
I
been
don't
like
think there's a
9
bad
games
choice
without
there.
him.
Do you think
That
the
team is
Sixers make the
terrible.
playoffs? Honestly, Noops, you watch them every night. You think they had a good enough team in the East to make the playoffs if Embiid would have been injured the whole season before Harden transaction? Of course, I'm speaking. I don't think
Right. So
so.
you still have Seth Curry. You've got Tobias Harris. You could still have something. Maybe you do with Ben Simmons. I think maybe they're in a play-in spot.
Maybe fight for 9th or 10th seed.
Yeah, that's.
Right?
I mean, so you'd have Andre Drummond would be your starting center. He's not too bad in more minutes. Again, I don't know what Glenn would do with the team, but I think they'd be kind of like a play-in team.
Okay, cool. We ain't gonna stay too much on that. Noops, what you got for us today?
I thought we just sort of jumped through. I heard you guys talking about the Memphis Golden State series. Get your thoughts on each of these series, and just overall see how you're feeling. It sounds like you guys think Golden State probably closes this out. I mean, no Ja Morant, as good as Memphis has been all regular season, it's just really hard to overcome not having your best player, especially a closer like that in the playoffs. And this is part of the growth for Memphis. They're starting to learn a lot of things. Maybe Dylan Brooks is more of a regular season guy than a playoff guy. They're learning kind of what they have to do. So, I mean, you guys are pretty solid. The Warriors maybe close this out. Probably not in Memphis, but maybe Game 6 at home.
I think maybe in Memphis. The only reason why is because, as I was telling before you came on, I was talking to Spread about the fourth quarter has been completely dominated by the Warriors. They've been able to lollygag through these games and close so strong in the fourth quarter and execute. As last night, they didn't have the lead until a minute was left in the game. Steph showed you why he was a Hall of Fame in the fourth quarter. And I just don't think, especially without Morant there, that Memphis can just get quality shots and quality looks like they want in the fourth quarter when it matters. So I wouldn't be surprised if Golden State closes them out in Memphis.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, the other series in the West is much more interesting to me. Curious to kind of get your takes on this. I look at this Phoenix team, and they seem like the much better team, but I've been going back and trying to watch to figure out what some of the adjustments the Mavericks team is making. A lot more double teaming, some of the better ball handlers, a lot more use of some of their bigger, longer players, just to kind of slow down and get these guys going. I mean, you look at the series, it's really odd. The Phoenix Suns for every single game has turned the ball over more times than the Dallas Mavericks. The Mavericks have started to win even the offensive rebounding battle a little bit here. So, I mean, I still feel pretty confident in Phoenix to win this series. But, I mean, Spread, you've watched a bunch of these games. Has Dallas figured it out, or is Phoenix going to get things back on track at home?
Both. First thing they figured out is Luka cannot have 50% usage in a quarter. He's got some talented playmakers with him. He can't exhaust himself to the point of being the target. That was a big change in game 3 and 4. A little more Reggie Bullock on ball. Another great adjustment as well. I think Monty's going to come back with his own, and I think this team's going to play a lot better here tonight. So I don't know. I haven't jumped in on the spread yet, but I think that Phoenix does win. I think the money line's priced appropriately, but Dallas has shown that they can give this team problems. And I thought before the series that Dallas might have a chance for an upset. After watching the first 2 games, I'm going, boy, I'm glad I didn't bet Dallas to win this series. But they've come back, right? And I think at the end of the day, Luka is the most prolific scorer on the floor. He is going to be able to keep pace in some of these tough moments. So while I do favor Phoenix, I think it's a lot closer than a lot of people are giving the Mavericks credit for.
Yeah, what do you think, Andre? I mean, is Dallas going to pull off the upset? And if they do, I mean, does either one of these teams have a chance against Golden State in the conference finals?
Dallas definitely has an opportunity to, and the reason why is the same advantage I feel like the Celtics have so far in the last 2 games. Dallas has had with Jason Kidd, our coach, of Monty Williams. But as Spread said, I believe Monty Williams will make an adjustment tonight. The thing with this Mavericks and Suns series is that you have 2 teams who are pretty much teams. You know what I mean? It's like you got Luka, but as you saw the games that they won, they play better when he allows his teammates to play. They're both deep teams. They don't concentrate on one player, but they're point guard driven. So it's a more even match than people really think when you look at the lineups and how they match up with them. So this one, I wouldn't be surprised if this series goes to 7. And if Phoenix wins, really, actually both of them, because if I'm not mistaken, Dallas has a good head-to-head with Golden State this year. If I'm not mistaken, they won at Golden State this year, and Luka had a big game. So either one of these guys, don't just write in Golden State like everyone's trying to do, especially with their age at certain areas of the court with Draymond, Steph, and Clay. They can get injured at any moment, and if either one of those 3 go down, they're not going to win. So you can't just write them in yet. I definitely think that Dallas or Phoenix have a puncher's chance, and I do expect that series to go 7. I think that if Phoenix wins a close one tonight, that Dallas can pull out a victory at home in order to get to game 7, and then it's up for grabs.
And it's a good segue for my next question. And I'll hit you, Spread, here. I mean, the Warriors are the favorite to win the West. They're minus 120. They're the favorite to win the title at 2-1. The Suns now 3-1 to win the title. The Celtics right around 4-1. The Heat just under 8-1. Does that make sense to you, spread? Should the Warriors actually be the favorite? And do you maybe see some value in trying to grab either a Phoenix future or a Dallas future, depending on how you see that series shaking out?
It does make sense to me. The Warriors just have that championship pedigree here. And with the way that Phoenix has looked, and Chris Paul, as great as he is, and as much as people want to get on there and talk about how awesome he is, he's got some Drew Holiday in him too, where he disappears in certain games. Like my guy Holiday disappeared last night. I'm still not happy about that. Right? But it's just, I don't trust him night after night. And I think the Warriors can absorb one of their best three players not playing their best better than the Suns can. I feel like for the Suns to beat the Warriors, they're going to need Paul and Booker on every single night. The one thing that they haven't unlocked in this Dallas series that they would need to do against the Warriors as well is get Ayton more involved. In the first two games, he was completely dominant. Or the first game. The second game, he was dominant in the minutes he was in. He wasn't in because of foul trouble. And then it seems like they've gone away from this matchup. Dallas is running out this lineup with no centers. They have one of the best centers in the league. They're not taking advantage of that. Let's see if they switch tonight, because I think that's going to be a key if they are going to upset the Warriors. And the other thing that's crazy about the Warriors being favorites is they will be on the road once again, right? So, of course, that Game 7 home court advantage where we know that the home team wins close to 80% of the time. So, I guess it is a little crazy numbers-wise that the Suns, and there's probably some mathematical value there, but since I do like the Warriors and I understand why they put those numbers there, I'm not getting involved.
Yeah, my plan, honestly, is to see how the game goes tonight. If Phoenix wins, that Suns number isn't going to move too much. It'll still be right around 3-1 or so. But if you like the Mavericks, it's so if they can get up 3-2 here, I'll probably start to accrue some Suns futures. I do think they're a little better than what we've seen. I don't know what the heck was going on with Chris Paul last game. There was a couple bad calls there, but some of it was just him playing like an idiot. I mean, the call he got fouled out on, he's standing there, and at the same time, he's trying to keep his arms up. But at the last second, again, maybe it's just like his brain fire,
dry
his arms
humping the guy, right? He's like dry humping the guy, and then acting like he didn't do anything. He does that just like Spread said. I'll be very quick. Just Spread, I want to follow up on kind of what Spread was talking about. 2 points that he said. First of all, CP3 has not showed up in the playoffs over his career. He had one of his best playoffs with my Rockets, but then he got injured. His hamstring got hurt, so he didn't complete that mission. But if you think about that, anytime he's matched up with Steph, he hasn't looked good at all. Steph has made him look pretty bad in the playoffs. But another point is we have to remember the odds that the bookmakers put out is about names. They're trying to catch the public and make the public run because everyone knows the Warriors. They know they're past the win, and they know Steph. I would take the Celtics right now, the Heat right now. I'd fish on the Celtics and the Heat. I'd also probably fish on Phoenix, because if you think about it, they're a 7 seed for a reason. They've caught a hot stretch. Yeah, the Warriors are playing good, but they're still a lot more named than anything, and they're looking really good now because Memphis is down Ja Morant, but I believe Memphis was about to actually get back in this series, and it didn't happen due to injuries. So I would definitely, my point of view would be to take any of those other teams you can still catch your number back, especially if you go to the East and grab the Heat or the Celtics. Then you can hedge it if they play the Warriors in the championship. But I don't think the Warriors are as good as the books are making them. They're more playing the public and trying to make them spend their money.
So let's jump over to the East side. I mean, Andre, it sounds like you're pretty sold on the Boston Celtics. I mean, did they kind of close that series out? Honestly, I know it's only 2-2, but they get to go back home here. It sounds like you feel pretty confident in them and Miami.
I like both of them a lot. I really like, but the Sixers have a chance. I'm not as confident with the Heat and the Sixers simply because Joel Embiid, and you never know when you're going to have a hard sight. And, like the other night, he decided to, roll back the clock again. The Celtics haven't even played their best basketball. Al Horford, man, it's like, what kind of HGH pills is this guy taking? I mean, I don't even know what's going on with him. He looks like he's back in Florida, winning back-to-back championships. What was that, like 2007 or something? And he's out there looking like the best player on the court, dude. Did you see pump fake on Giannis, drove on him and dunked on him? And from 3-pointers, he's been lights out. They've been giving out candy with his number every night, 1.5 at like -130 and stuff. But I really like the Celtics. The main thing is something about this Celtics team, man. Ski and I talked about it early in the year, and it's just grown more and more since the winter months began. their system that their coach is giving them. You know, he comes from a Spurs background. Those guys are just playing good basketball, man. It's like everybody contributes, everybody does their job. It seems like Brown and Tatum, all the friction between them is over. They're looking for each other on passes. They're trying to help each other out. They're cheering for each other. Most of all, they're playing deep, man. They're so long. And a lot of people don't understand that Tatum and Brown both were really drafted as defensive players. They developed into offensive players. So these guys are a really great defensive team, man. Marcus Smart was the best player in the Big 12. He took a step back just to allow the Celtics to play his role, man. This team is loaded, man, and they have the right type of coach. I'm hoping that Robert Williams comes back because he makes a big difference. So Al Horford doesn't have to put so much more tread on those tires. But I really like the Celtics coming out the East, man. I don't see them losing to the Bucks or to whoever wins out of Miami and the Sixers.
Yeah, Spread, as somebody who personally, I have a ton of Bucks futures, and just that Chris Middleton injury really limits their potential. And I thought last night was a game they had to win. It gets them up 3-1. They can buy some more time for Middleton. But what do you think, Spread? I mean, is it Celtics or bust at this point?
Yeah, I think it is. Unfortunately, I'm big on the Bucks too, but they blew their opportunity last night. Could they still get it done? I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm not going to completely write them off, but like I said earlier, I think before you came on, they had the opportunity to close this out, make an Eastern Conference Championship, Eastern Conference Finals, and Drew Holiday doesn't show up, and Giannis has got to do it all on his own, and that's the most tired I've ever seen him. And I've been on my shows talking about his fitness and his stamina, right, and putting him that tier above Luka. But we're all human, and you have to carry the load for so long. So I don't want to count them out, but Boston, they landed that uppercut when they needed to, and even though it's 2-2, it feels like they have such a good chance with 2 of the last 3. Now, I'm with you guys that the spot for the upset, is down in Florida tonight because Miami got an easy first 2 games. But that wasn't the same team, right? And we talked about Embiid's MVP caliber contribution to this team and how much he means to the team, how much he even makes life easier for Harden and Maxey. And I think he even kind of balances how different they are, where Maxey wants to go a million miles an hour, Harden wants to play slow and methodical, right? I think he gives them a little balance because he can rebound, start the break, feed Maxey there. He can also run the pick and roll for Harden, playing that slow style. And I feel like, I felt like there was a tension between the two in those first 2 games on what type of style they were going to play. Now Embiid's dictating the style, and they're doing it for where it needs to be in the game. So I do like Miami tonight, but would I be like, I was shocked that the Bucks lost last night. I really thought that was a great spot for them. I wouldn't be shocked if Philadelphia won tonight because, go back to our old playoff things, like who's the best player on the floor? Who's going to be the best player in crunch time, right? And as much as I like Jimmy Butler, and Bam is one of those guys that's the statistical dominance. I'm not seeing it here in this particular playoffs, right? I mean, I know he did great in the bubble, but he's really had an opportunity to make his mark in this series against Embiid these last 2 games. I haven't seen it. How much of that is being in Philadelphia? I mean, we'll see tonight. Maybe he's a whole new player tonight, and he really takes it to Embiid because that's what they need. They need to get him in foul trouble. They need to test his defensive skills and show like, hey, we're not just going to let you run roughshod in the paint on both sides of the floor. But I do think that they will have the best player on the floor towards the end of the game. Embiid's conditioning always worries me when things are going well. Of course, with him missing time, concussion, and then the orbital fracture, will the conditioning be there? But boy, if he's still strong at the end of the game, if Harden and Maxey can make sure that they do their part, so they all go into that last fourth quarter, everybody well rested, everybody ready to go, I think Philadelphia's got a great chance for an upset tonight.
Yeah, there's a lot of factors there. But yeah, it's a lot of factors there. I mean, Bam, we've seen the postseason several times. He just bumps into his ceiling. He doesn't seem to be able to break through to whatever that level is to unlock the potential to be a top 10 to top 15 player like we see in terms of what he could do physically. And the worm has turned a little bit from an injury perspective. The Sixers are all of a sudden healthy, and the Heat have everybody banged up here. I mean, half the roster is day to day. Kyle Lowry is out, which I think is good. He looked really rough the last game, and it's Embiid in a way. I wonder if those couple days days are good for him. Get his knee fresh, get his body a little bit comfortable. Because you're right, Spread. The first game back, he looked a little slow. I thought he looked fine in game 4, and we'll see how it goes. I mean, Glenn has done a decent job of resting him and kind of giving him some breaks. So maybe that'll be good. And the Sixers, I mean, despite all this momentum, are the lowest number here in terms of to win the East. You can get them at almost 6-1 to win the East, 16-1 to win the title. And you guys know me, I'm not that optimistic Sixers fan, but there was probably some value in those numbers. What do you think?
Yeah, it's values on 16-1 for sure. Because man, anything can happen, especially when you have a guy like Embiid right now. Embiid's at the top of his game, as long as injuries don't prevent him.
If they were to make it, neither Golden State or Phoenix has got a good answer for him, especially Golden State.
All.
You're going to put Kevin Looney out there? Uh-oh, don't like that.
No,
DeAndre Ayton's good, but I don't know if he's ready. Yeah,
he get to the finals. He's going for 40 a night. The Celtics match up with him well only if Robert Williams can play. And what about that? Yes,
Boston worries me though. Boston worries me because I feel like they have the team that can let Embiid go for 40 and 15 and still win by 10.
Yeah. And see,
because I feel like they can shut everyone else down.
Robert Williams will help on him, but yesterday they didn't tell us that he wasn't playing until like 10 minutes before the game. So the line switched from -1 to +1.5, right? You know who got you NBA bettors you. You know how frustrated you guys that I am with that. So tonight it's +2.5. Okay, not to change your question real quick, but while you're here, I want to ask you this too. Have you heard anything about any injuries on Miami tonight? Because
we know Lowry's out. We know Lowry's out.
Okay, so Lowry's the number started at 3, then it went to 3.5. Now it's at 2.5, which is telling you it's going to be a close game, right?
I think that's a market move.
Okay, you think it's it's no injuries, you think?
Well, because like I said, I mean, you could say, well, Miami won there too in Miami, but Embiid wasn't there. It's not like when Phoenix goes back home tonight. We've already seen this exact game 4 times. We've only seen this other game 2 times, and we've only seen it in Philadelphia.
And it looks each time for that game. Every time Phoenix has went to Dallas, has visited Phoenix, it's been -6 Phoenix each game straight across, right?
Yeah.
So they're saying that Embiid is worth 5 points.
Should be worth more.
I mean, it's again. You look at the closing line. Miami closed as 8-point favorite. So Miami. I'm just trying to break this down. I'm thinking about the numbers here. Miami closed as an 8-point favorite in game 2.
Right.
Embiid comes back. Sixers. Miami closes as a 1-point favorite in Philly. I mean, you put in the adjustment for home court too. It actually is a pretty sizable adjustment for Embiid, I think. I think this game, again, you look at that number, Sixers closed -2 at home. They make, the 5-6 point adjustment. And I think Spread's right. People look at that. They think it should be 3. I bet anybody gobbled up 3.5, knowing that maybe it would be pushing down a little bit. And the 2.5 you see is cheap. It's kind of halfway between 2.5 and 3, really.
Okay. I didn't mean to cut you off, Noops. I just wanted to ask you that before you got out here. What else you got for us, Noops?
That's it. I just wanted to kind of talk through that, see what you like from a futures perspective, see if you guys could, what's the word I'm looking for? Not acknowledge, but lock in some of my Philadelphia optimism here. Back me up on that, because I keep looking at that number at 16-1, and I'm starting to feel crazy because I can't trust.
Looks like a sucker bit, right?
And honestly, the Celtics are a nightmare matchup. We know how good Al Horford is on Embiid. I don't think they'll use Williams on Embiid. I think they'll put Horford on him, honestly.
I really feel like you're getting 16-1 to finish off Miami and beat the Celtics and then stay healthy, because I love the matchup against both West teams. I just love the matchup.
Yeah, I'm on the West. I think I'm going to take it for at least $100.
That's the team I don't want to face.
I might take it right now.
I got answers for Tatum. I got answers for Jaylen Brown. I got answers for Jimmy Butler. No one's got an answer for Giannis either. But he got with that ragtag cast right now. I got answers for Grayson
Allen. His cash isn't showing up for him. They look horrible. Compare the Celtics bench with what you're getting from the kid. What's that kid's name? That he's from Houston, man. He played for Tennessee. Is it number 12 for Celtics? I'm so sorry. I'm having a
Grant Williams.
Brent Williams, right?
Grant
Williams.
Grant
Williams. Apologies. Because Grant Williams is a good player. He deserves to be acknowledged. Forgive me. Grant Williams has been playing ball, man, off the bench for the Celtics, and he stepped up so much. He's been really the key. Him and Horford are giving them so many points that they didn't expect. If you look over the series, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum haven't even played that well. But the problem that the Bucks are having. There, others are playing horrible, man. Like, you know, Bobby Portis, where is he? Is anyone seen Bobby Portis? I haven't seen his crazy eyes any of this series. Or is he scared of the Celtics?
It's the defensive matchup. And it's like you guys said, I mean, the Celtics have all these individual defenders, and I mean, they have anybody on the floor who kind of slow Portis down. Usually he's attacking a lesser defender and stuff, and that doesn't really exist for him on Boston. So I just, the matchup is really good for the Celtics, especially without Middleton. The Celtics can answer every question the Bucks ask.
All right, last question for you, Noops. Who you like in Rome, the ATP and the WTA? Who you think wins the tournament?
You got to pick Iga, right? I mean, she is just crushing everybody. The young bull, Iga Swiatek. I did play a couple futures, just some nice numbers I like. My girl Sabalenka is out above 20-1, which is completely disrespectful. She's much better on clay than people give her respect for. And she's had a tough year, but she's starting to play herself in better form. So just a numbers play. Played Goff, the young American, at 35-1. Anna Samova as well, who might be dealing with some injury stuff, but just some nice numbers play for me there. And then on the men's side, I mean, I guess Carlos Alcaraz is now the greatest player in men's tennis, so I'll pick him.
He's not playing. He dropped out.
Oh, that's no good.
Yeah,
he withdrew because he's in Spain celebrating. He riding around with the king right now. He doesn't have time to go to Italy. He's right now having a parade in Spain. He runs Spain right now, man. Man.
You make a good point. It's probably a good week for him to take off. So, I mean, I guess give me Djokovic then.
Is he? Look, is Alcaraz? I know you might know this more than him. Spread, is Alcaraz favorite for the French Open?
Yeah,
he's basically tied with Nadal based on where you look. They're both right around plus 160-ish.
He's going to win.
But yeah, I mean, depending on where you look, he's right there.
He's going to win it. He's going to win it.
Do you think he's ready for best of five?
Yeah, he's going to win it.
It's best of five, and he probably has to beat Rafa and Novak.
Hey, that's a good point, Noops. That is a good point. It's a big difference when it goes 5. You're right. So Nadal might wear him down. You're right, with the old man energy.
But Nadal hasn't been doing good in best of 5 lately. If I'm Nadal, I want best of 3. in the Australian Open, he would cruise through the first 2 sets. And it's like, what's going on?
You know what Nadal needs to do? He needs to give a call to Al Horford.
You just need to take a year off in Oklahoma City. That's what it is. Go to Oklahoma City for a year, put your feet up. Whatever he was doing, it worked out.
There it goes, man. You see what I follow. You see my guy behind me, the TB12 method. That's how I stay young. Hey, man, I'll see you later, Noops. We appreciate you coming in, man.
Awesome. I'll be back next week. We'll talk a little French Open. See you guys.
Awesome. I can't wait to see you next week, man. All right, man. Let's get to the ball and parlay.
All right, man. We gave it away a little bit. I do like the Heat tonight. One big thing that went underlooked in that last series was the amount of wide open in Game 4, the amount of wide open threes that they were able to generate that they just didn't knock down. We've talked about it before. Sound like a broken record, but we know these things change at home for the players that aren't the superstars. Giannis is going to get his wherever. Jimmy Butler is going to get his wherever. These other guys, no, not so much. Another thing with the Lowry injury, will we see a little more Duncan Robinson? I know they were trying to get away, but they need that shooting now. That's an adjustment that Spoelstra can make that he has in the back pocket.
Yeah, he hasn't touched the court. He hasn't touched the court, huh?
He's played 1 minute. He played 1 minute of garbage time in Game 3.
That much a liability?
Because they don't want Harden hunting. But the thing is, he's not going to be off the team because against other teams, like against Boston, where they don't really have like a small guard to worry about, they'll run him. It's just this matchup. They just don't want Harden to get loose. The idea that Embiid can go for 40 and 15 and you can still beat this team. So you need to shut down the other guys.
Yeah, and he spoke briefly about that. I think that's what they're really going, because Max is hurting them. You know, Max is last game not as much, but Max has been a real factor in this series. They haven't really had an answer for his speed. He's a lot quicker than the wing players for Miami, and it shows, you know, when they get in the open court. We're both on the Heat, man. That's my main pick. I know the Sixers, the numbers that the books is putting out is saying it's going to be a tight game, that it's going to be a real close one. But I just, going by my numbers and running through my system, I just can't see any way that I don't take the Heat right here. They're the number 1 seed. It's a must-win game. They can't lose home court advantages. Pardon me. The Sixers are 0-5-1 against the spread in their last 6 against winning teams, while the Heat are 7-1 against the spread in their last 8 at home and 7-1 against the spread as home favorites. So I just got to believe that they get it done, man. Over this series, not just this year, but over the past like 10 games. Sixers only won one game in Miami, like 1-8-1 in the last, 6 games there, man, against the spread. So, excuse me, not 6, pardon me, the last 10 games there against the spread. They just don't play well there. And as you know, everything that you saw from Harden, I don't know if you can count that this time it's happening again, because he averages the lowest points in Miami of any team in the NBA that he travels to play throughout his career.
Well,
So,
because look at it. Spoelstra said, I will sacrifice my offense and my ability to score in order to shut you down. So they
yeah,
made
because
it a
Duncan
focus.
Robinson is huge. And I just realized, I'm like, yeah, he hasn't been playing as much as
He hasn't played at all.
you said a
But
minute. He hasn't played
he's
at
played
all.
1 minute this whole series, but maybe they realize it's the change they need. You watch Strus and Gabe Vincent keep clanking these threes. You got to make a change. And so
And
Spoelstra's
Gabe
got that
Vincent, I
in back.
expected more from him. Gabe Vincent in the regular season was a great shooter. That
They
shows you how
both were.
playoff pressure
They both
changed.
were.
Strus as well.
And they're wide open shots. It's not like
and their miss
playoff
Strus was like
change.
40% from the 3-point line and during the regular season, man. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe it's the pressure, but we're both going with the Heat minus 2.5, but we're also going to give out as a bonus CP3 over 16.5. We feel like he's going to bounce back today. You got all this controversy going with him and his mom and stuff. He fouled out. He looked really bad the last game. This is pretty much like a legacy moment for him. So he has to have a good game tonight. You think he gets over 16.5 spread?
Yeah, because he's been just like these series. He zigzags. One bad game, one good game, one bad game, one good game. Let's see. I'd expect him to bounce back.
All right, he can get that in the fourth quarter for us. We don't care as long as we cash it. Yep. So, guys, we had a great show today. We appreciate you joining in Monday through Friday. We're on SCOON TV. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. That's 5-Star in Vegas Sports Investments. Also subscribe to Spread's YouTube channel, which is Spread ASTAIRE. Follow me at 5-Star in Vegas. Spell out the 5. Follow him at Spread ASTAIRE. We'll be back tomorrow, guys. Best of luck.